Welcome to Saints on Cinema. I'm Tim Wilde, and with me today is my friend Craig Clifford.
Howdy.
Who is a huge Disney fan and Broadway fan and Tim fan. Right?
I'm still working on the Tim
Still
fan
working on
part.
that one.
Yeah.
We are going to have a two witnesses discussion on The Lion King. I have with me, these are actually special. These are the actual action figures of Mufasa and Simba. Make sure I had them right. From the original
Animated movie.
when it came out. You can tell by the...
Was it 95 or 96?
I don't remember.
I was on my mission when it came out. I think it was 96.
I think it was 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I have these, and they sit on my church shelf. We have all my geeky stuff around, but I actually do have a more
shelf?
spiritual. Yeah, so that's all the spiritual stuff.
Oh,
there.
Up there?
Yeah, like Leahona and Angel Morona and on temples and stuff.
And they're up there with
They're
that?
up there because of the spiritual significance of the father and son, Mufasa and Simba, the Remember Who You Are speech,
Yes.
and all this other stuff that is in that movie.
Yeah.
Some of it we'll talk about maybe, but
I
that's
think-
why they're up there.
I
Remind
think
me
you
of
should
that.
get Scar as well.
I don't know
so
if I have
that we
Scar.
can...
I was given these from someone. I actually purchased them. I don't remember who I got them from. But I kept them for that reason, because they were symbolic and important. Anyway,
Awesome.
So we're going to discuss...
Tim has a lot of toys.
I do. So we're going to talk about... Clearly, you can't see. Anyway, we're going to talk about The Lion King. Now, I had a lot of thoughts about this movie the first time I saw it. I had a lot of expectations going into it, because this is my Disney film, Craig. This is my movie. This is it. Because of all the spiritual stuff, all the important stuff that comes out of it. So, when I went into it, I didn't have all these expectations for it being one of these live remakes.
Yeah.
And there's that discussion, does this really count as a live action remake?
Yeah.
It's all CGI. But I had a very special place in my heart for this one. I had some standards going into it.
Yeah.
And I was a little disappointed. I didn't feel like it captured the emotion and the energy of those special connections between the characters and between the characters and the audience. But wanted to break down, one, how I felt about the songs, because this is my favorite soundtrack. Yep, this is my favorite soundtrack from the Disney movies. And I'm not a big Elton John fan, but I love this soundtrack. And how the characters, how would they do with that? And usually we talk about cinematography and all that fun stuff. There's some great visuals and everything in this movie. You'd probably agree with that. But we wanted to get into the meat. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really well done. Visually beautiful.
I hate CGI.
Really?
Really
all of it?
Do not like it. Yes.
Like Star Wars, all those movies? Just like,
Yeah.
Really?
What I don't like is when they try to pass it off as real and it doesn't look real. The thing I liked about this movie is, for the most part, it did look real.
Right. It did. And that was a jarring thing for a lot of people, as I've watched other reviews and people talking about it. The having realistic looking photoreal animals making human noises with their mouths, but beaks don't make certain sounds and stuff. That was jarring for people. I didn't have a problem with it. But before we go into it, let's you wanted to talk a little bit about the comparison of the original versus this one. How do you think it lived up? Because that was a brief judgment for me. But
I have also seen the Broadway show.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Okay.
Do you feel like this was more of an adaptation from the Broadway, which was from the original? You guys directly.
Yes.
Just because of the shot-for-shot remakes, or
so the
content?
Broadway show has a lot of additional music. Most of it is like tribal feeling.
Yes.
And the thing I loved about the Broadway show is that it was a standalone piece.
Right.
It visually was a beautiful spectacle. The director also carved all of the headpieces and things like that. She won a Tony Award, and she was actually one of the producers for this version that was just made.
The music in the original, I remember I saw it here in Salt Lake from the traveling Broadway. And what I thought was cool is how they had the drums, the big drummers on both sides of the stage. And it was so crazy how they got into it, like every number. And I was like, that is beautiful, you know? Because it had this big, not just because you're in a theater, but it's just like, you felt just immersed in the music. Yeah.
So Tim is a movie guy, and I'm a live action. Not live action, but like...
He is alive and in action.
I've seen 116 shows in New York City on Broadway.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Including Beauty and the Beast, which was totally... Sorry. Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast,
which was totally different from the animated movie. Tons of additional music.
We definitely need to have a conversation about Beauty and the Beast with the movie, especially. But a lot to
keep
talk
on
about
track.
That.
Okay.
Yeah, Lion King. But we're talking about the Broadway, so
it's amazing. If you ever get a chance, it's probably one of the top 5 shows that I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay. Visually.
Let me ask you this.
But you didn't feel that way when you saw it.
No, the Broadway? I did. I think we talked about that once. I think my biggest thing is not really relevant for this video, but like my biggest thing was everyone always talks about the music and the power and everything from the singers. I didn't care about any of the singers until adult Mufasa came in right before Act 2. And I wasn't overwhelmed with any of the songs until the music was fine, but the performances I wasn't like, you know what I mean? So that sucked my spirit down.
Having seen all of those shows on Broadway, and I've also seen probably about 20 of the official shows that come through town.
Not good enough.
Totally different level.
All right.
Totally different level.
So I'll say I've never seen it on Broadway then.
Yeah.
I've never seen it on Broadway in Salt Lake.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough, but I was underwhelmed with that. But the costuming I was always famous for, fantastic. They had to take out a pillar from Capitol Theater to get the giraffe in, I think. It was a huge deal. Anyway, so it was really cool to see. But anyway, very creative and imaginative like this movie was. But drawing from it being from the cartoon, a couple of things were added.
Yeah.
The relationship with Sarabi and Scar, their little history with Mufasa.
Yeah.
I can't remember, was that in the Broadway? Because I remember a scene in the Broadway with Scar trying to seduce or whatever Nala, if I remember. Or was that Sarabi?
It's been a while.
Okay.
So, I don't know those details.
That's why I was like pulling out. I was like, because there was a little bit about the history that was brought up here, where Scar apparently had feelings or attraction to Sarabi, but Mufasa overpowered him, gave him the scar, assumingly in that same scenario, and then that's why he was trying to revisit that. Where he was like, "Oh, you turned me down once, now I'm the king. You should." When he was eating.
Is it in the Disney canon somewhere? That story?
I don't know. We should buy the book for the little kids.
I just learned today what canon is.
Long conversation about Star Wars canon.
Actually, anyway, my son told me, and I didn't fully understand what it was, but
now he's on track. Anyway, a couple of those elements I like that they got a little more depth and background for the characters. I like the relationship between Scar and Mufasa. Just that one line, that he's the one that gave him the scar.
Yeah.
That one line where he said in the very beginning, he said, "I would never challenge you," and then he's ... again. That wasn't in the original. He said, "I would never challenge you." But adding the word "again" indicates that's where he got a scar. And it's like, ooh, that's a little more meat. To the point of, spoilers, big spoilers, I guess, if you haven't seen the cartoon. But in the movie, at Mufasa's death scene, he doesn't just let go of Mufasa. Scar also slashes his face to add getting him his retribution. So good. Anyway, little things like that. An eye for an eye, a scar for a scar. Eye for an eye. He's living the old law. But those little details, that's what makes me kind of excited about some of these remakes, and some of them definitely don't work and break the canon. Nothing broke it in this one for me.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. Or I didn't have a problem with it. But the other Disney movies, we could talk about that another time.
We should.
We should. But getting through, I want to talk about going through a little bit of the story to see how it felt. First of all, the opening number. Okay, this is like supposed to get you into it, getting excited. The Circle of Life song, I was like, oh, this is spectacular. It was beautiful. It's just all quiet, and then suddenly the sun hits, and it's like, that part. So good. And then I was like, oh no. The second the giraffe steps in the cartoon, he says, "And blinking step into the sun." And he lifts his head as he comes out of the shadow into the sunlight. And blinking step into the sun. They choreographed that giraffe doing that in the animation for that line. In this one, he's like in the light, and then as he says, "And blinking steps into the sun," the parent giraffe walks in front of it and casts a shadow. I'm like, you guys missed. And blinking step into the sun. I was was like, that was like just a misstep, and you totally missed that one line that was set up like that. The shot for shot line and the sun rays and everything were right there, and then they cut it off, and I was like, oh, is that a sign of this movie? Like, it was just a slight miss.
So how many times have you seen the animated, and how many times have you seen
the live?
Yeah.
I've seen the live action, or the new one twice. The live. The original, I don't know, probably 15 times or so. Probably a lot. I loved it. That's a literal number. I mean, people a million times. I've probably seen it probably 15 times, which is a lot for one movie.
I think I've seen the original twice, and I've seen the new one once.
Really?
I know that for sure. So, you have a lot more information, including that the giraffe messed up the shot. Oh my gosh!
That's not a huge criticism. I was like, but you know what? The way
it's the first thing you talked about.
I know. Well, I was like, the sun comes up, and I was like, oh, we're here. But then it goes on and shows the flocks of birds flying, and then all the animals stepping, and you have all the baby animals. I really love that. Just the reflection of the flight, and you're seeing this like the mouse in the puddle kind of a thing. A lot of gorgeous shots, and that's what I could just sit there and watch those shots of Africa, or their version of Africa, for hours. My favorite shot or scene of the whole movie was when you first see the little mouse after the opening number. Yeah. The little mouse that ends up getting intimidated by Scar. It's like 2 minutes you're watching go up and down a leaf, across the thing, up the rock.
Thinking, and then, why?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
But I was like, I'm digging this little mouse. And then Scar comes out of the background all blurry.
Yeah.
Like, and you remember he escapes because of Zazu's big idiot face comes in. But like in this one, he's like having this big intimidating monologue intimidating the mouse. And then he like captures him, and he can't get out, and it's so real because that's what a real menacing lion paw on top of mouse is trying to get his little head out.
Because cats love mice.
Yes, they do. But I was like, okay, this is interesting. I love watching this, and then after not so long, I stopped caring about the creatures. But that mouse was gorgeous. It's just watching the animation.
Why don't we talk about the CGI in this movie?
Okay. Do you have problems with it?
No. Well, first of all, I'm not a big fan of CGI.
Okay.
Just in general.
Okay.
I don't really love the CGI in the Star Wars movies. Okay. Sorry. Going into this, I still had that prejudice, and I really believed almost 100% of the CGI in this film.
Yeah.
So
it was really good.
Yeah.
That's not a criticism of I didn't care about the animals. I thought they looked amazing. You know what the best one that looked was Pumbaa. When he comes in, the hair and stuff, and his little eyes on the side, so realistic. And even Zazu, when Zazu flies in, he turns his head to the side because he's looking at whoever he's talking to sideways. That's how birds look. Yeah. They don't look forward. They're like off the side, like a horse. I'm like, well, that's really interesting. Because you're like talking, but you're like like that. Anyway, I thought it was really good. I think the photorealistic aspect was really good, and some people not criticize, but like, oh, but be careful, take your kids, because some of the death scenes and stuff are a lot worse because it's like realistic looking animals.
In the wild.
I was like,
In the wild.
Yeah, in Wilde. Tim Wilde. I didn't feel it was too much at all. In fact, that was one of my problems. The death of Mufasa, I'm sorry. Yes, it's all dramatic and everything, but when Simba goes out into the gorge and finds his dad,
and then lays.
Yeah.
Lays there. Spoons there.
Yeah.
Like, my dad's dead, and I love my dad. No, I loved it.
Okay, did it rip your heart? Did you cry?
Yes.
Did you
cry?
No,
I didn't cry.
I didn't either. And I cried everything. I didn't cry in that moment. Do you want to know why?
I do want to know why.
Because it didn't seem like he just died. It had that big moment, like, it was good. But then when he's laying there, his fur's all beautiful, and then Simba goes up there. I was like, one, he should be filthy and matty. And I was like, I don't need to see gore and open wounds, but maybe dark and matted blood that like adults could see was like.
Well, there should be some blood somewhere, but not like
saying.
Tim Burton blood.
Right. But I was like, he just got trampled by a stampede to his death. Nothing. His mane is just perfectly gorgeous and groomed. Later on, you see.
The stampede didn't kill him.
I know. What do you mean? Who's killed him?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, he kind of got away, but the reason he died was because of Scar. Then,
well, right, but he fell to his death, and yeah. But still, he was just trampled. Later on, they show.
Too beautiful for you?
Yes. Later on, Scar is eating a zebra, and he has blood dripping from his mouth. It's not like it was too hard to put a little bit of blood in there, and I don't need a big big red stain on him, but just enough where adults could be like, oh, that little texture.
Okay.
Just didn't like it. And all the lions, I'm sorry, they all look like they were taxidermied stuffed animals you can see like at a museum. They did, especially Scar. I didn't like what Scar looked like. Hated what he looked like. And he looked pretty accurate for what he's supposed to look like in the cartoon, but
what I liked about what he looked like, since this is Saints on Cinema.
Yes. Little Satan goatee.
Yeah. No. So, in my personal life, I have gone through a time where I didn't go to church, and my physical countenance changed. My body weight changed. Just everything about me was different.
Right.
And I think that it's visually cool that they're showing that difference between Scar and Mufasa.
Right. And there's a difference in not just size and everything, but just like his expressions and like in the way he carries himself.
Yeah.
And in a lot of those scenes, and some of that worked and some of it didn't work. We'll talk about Be Prepared in a minute. But I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'll say
it's the type of Christ and the type of Satan.
And if we want to talk about that, skipping forward to the Remember Who You Are scene, where he's seeing the reflection, Rafiki says, he's like, I just see me, and he's like, look harder.
Yeah.
And then he sees the reflection transform into Mufasa.
Yeah.
He's like seeing. We're not supposed to think he's like seeing like a spirit of his father.
Yeah.
He's seeing himself, his father in himself,
Yeah.
the countenance, and we're supposed to take on. We're supposed to receive his countenance in us as. And Alma 5 says that, but he does. He goes through that, and that's what the change is. It's not this magical thing that happens in the sky. And I love. Might as well talk about that scene. I love that they didn't show Mufasa's face, because in the animation it makes it seem like he's seeing his father in a visitation. But the conversation earlier is like the star when he says we'll always be together, right, Dad? And his dad says, Mufasa's like, you see the star? He like deflects the question to teach him something. The stars up there, those are the great kings of the past who are always looking down and watching over us. And then that gets laughed and scoffed at by Timon and Pumbaa later of the world, right?
Yeah.
But then when it comes down to it, when his spiritual guide Rafiki steps in, or the prophet, you could say, is trying to teach him what that really meant and bring back a recollection of the teachings was taught by his father earlier, right? You see where I'm going with this? He goes out, he looks at the pond, he sees himself, and that's when he starts hearing his father. And his father didn't appear like a visitation. His father, according to the philosophy of the story, is up in the stars watching over him. But he can still remember the things he was taught and remember who his father was. Yeah. And so he's seeing the clouds and lightning striking behind the clouds. Yeah. And a couple of those shots, I can't wait to buy this on DVD. I will buy it. Blu-ray, so I can pause it so I can see when the lightning strikes. Does it make an image of the lion? I think it does a little bit, little faces as it's moving into the clouds, but it's not a striking Mufasa's here.
Because that would have been a little cheesy.
Yeah, well, it would have been fine, but I like it better as him imagining who his father is in him instead of his father appearing to him. And there's a difference: a visitation versus him remembering who his father was and him. His conscious, like if we're being prompted by the spirit or having conversations and we're feeling we're receiving inspiration, sometimes it's like dialogue. It's not always a voice or an appearance, but it'd be something we're seeing, and I can see stuff like that in water in times of inspiration and things like that. But anyway, I like that.
So there was a talk a couple conferences ago by President Uchtdorf, and he talked about how every human has this internal longing for home. And by home, I think that he means our connection to our Father in heaven. Right. And in that scene in the movie, I think that's when he's reminded, because of his father, his longing for home. Right. And that's why he heads to his earthly home.
Right. It's a little prodigal son story. Yeah. Or Alma the Younger story. Yeah. No, that's it. I like that. I love the relationship between Simba and Mufasa. I think that worked better than the other relationships in the movie. Except for Timon and Pumbaa. Sorry, they were fantastic. But
well, it is the most important relationship in
That's the message.
movie.
That's why I keep their figures on my spiritual mantle over there. But that's the important aspect of it. And I like he gets triggered. Yeah. He's reminded who he is. The Rafiki says before that, he's like, you're the father or son of a king or whatever. Yeah. And he just says, that was a long time ago. And he says, no, that's forever. That doesn't change. Yeah. And I like that because, sometimes in life people feel like they've made mistakes, they're unforgiven, and there's no way they can get back.
Or the world has told them who they are or who they should be.
Yes.
Be your authentic self.
Right.
And people start believing that.
Right. To the point, that's why I love the image where you're talking about Simba curling up to Mufasa. Uh-huh. When Scar just kind of appears from the blurry. You notice he does that several times. Whenever Scar makes his entrance, it's from a fade in the background, and that's how Lucifer is in our life. Subtle. Yeah. But when he comes up, he's like, Simba, what have you done? Simba jumps up, and what's the first thing Scar does? Pulls him from his father while he's telling him, you can never be forgiven, you're guilty, they must never know, you have to run away, trying to force down this concept that he's unforgivable, that he's the responsible, he betrayed his father, he killed his father, no one will accept him, and he's a failure, and he has to run away. That's exactly what Satan makes us feel when we're talking about our sins and mistakes or anything in life that's a difficulty, that you have to do it. Nothing you can do is good enough. Yeah. And that leads to later on where Simba's like, that was a long time ago, and Rafiki's like, no, that's forever. You're always the son of a king, and you're always going to be responsible for what you do with your actions, and there's always redemption. You can always go back. And then it makes a noise, and he charges off, and then he goes back, passes Nala on the way, she runs with him, and then magically Timon and Pumbaa kept up with 2 lions.
I know, I had the same thought. I'm like,
But all that metaphor was beautifully done.
Yeah.
That's the most important aspect of the Lion King story, that one, okay? The one that failed, while we were talking about that area of the movie, was Nala and Simba. I'm sorry. They had no chemistry at all. Exactly, nothing. I was like, as kids they did. The cubs were great. Yeah. But then they grow up, she just appears, she tries pouncing the antelope or whatever, they have their scuffle and it's okay, but then they're awkward, talking to each other, they start, she's like, oh, this is so desperate, you gotta come back with me. And they did such a good job of showing how desperate the land was. And Simba's like, no, this is beautiful, let me show you around. She's like, oh, where are we going? It's like, you just got distracted that quick, you know? And so she goes off. In the original, it was a little more like, it's really good. Like, they pause, they put their heads together, I really miss you. Yeah. Now let's go talk. Not like, oh, where are we going? It was a little stupid and bubbly and cheesy. Then they go off, and then they sing, Can You Feel the Love Tonight? In the middle of the day. That whole sequence is in the daylight. And I was like, in the movie, it starts like at dusk, the original, but then it ends like at nighttime. There's like fireflies flying around, stuff. It's all romantic. In this one, no, it ends with them on the top of a little cliff looking around in the daylight still. I'm like,
would be like under the sea on land, right?
Exactly. I was like, okay, you guys missed the whole point of that song. It was supposed to be a beautiful romantic thing, but it just seemed awkward and just it didn't capture those little moments and the glances that the animation did, the original one. Yeah. And I'm not going to say that this one couldn't pull it off, because every time there was a close-up zoom on Timon, he was expressive, and you knew exactly what he was thinking. It was so good, but they couldn't pull off intrigue or mystery or lust or any of those feelings between those 2 lions that miss each other. Even as kids, they did. Yeah. Total misfire, and that was the second most important thing of the Lion King story, was that build-up. So that song, I'm sorry, was a complete
absolutely
flat.
Agree with you.
Okay.
Which I'm surprised because we normally don't agree.
Okay.
But I do like that in the script that she's the one that goes to find him.
Yes.
And she is, when he
says goes find help.
No, when he says to her, that's not me, she's like, bye.
Okay, then I gotta find help.
Yeah.
My mission is more important, and you should be responsible for this, but if you're not going to help, I gotta find someone that is. Yeah. In the original, she hung out there. She stayed there, and then Rafiki came back and says, the king has gone home. And she's like, oh, he's gone back. And then she goes back. And this one, she's like, nope, back to business. Yeah. And I do like that. Yeah. I love, in my Tim's take when I talked about this, I love the scene where she escapes Pride Rock.
Right?
oh my gosh, my heart, I was on the edge of my seat, like, don't get caught, you know, because
it was super intense.
Yeah, it was. When she sneaks out, and not without any assist, you didn't think of the pride as like being, the lionesses as being like captive, but really, they were. You know, they're just,
I absolutely
the
thought
hyenas
of them
were
as
in the original.
captive. No, in this one.
Yeah. Oh, in this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the hyenas were doing the hunting, it seems.
Yeah.
He's just out sporting around, overkilling everything.
Yeah.
They're back at home and they can barely survive, and they're starving.
Yeah.
And of course Scar's not gonna let them just wander around because that's his. You know, he's still trying to seduce.
What's her name?
Yeah.
Mufasa's wife.
Mrs. Fasa. Well, now Miss Fasa.
Yeah.
But anyway, when Nala Sarabi, when Nala finally gets up and she's like, someone's got to do something.
Yeah.
Because they're all like, Nala, come join us. Like, she's always looking off, trying to figure out, we got to do something.
Yeah.
She gets out, climbs down. The hyenas are coming up one way. Scar's just out there, just kind of walking around, just stretching. Then he smells something.
Yes.
Her comes over. She jumps up on the cliff, and it's all.
And he still smells her. And he's getting closer.
Not you. He gets up there, and then stupid Zazu flies in, and is like, "Oh, Scar!" And he tries to talk to him, and then he flies off, and they're like trying to devour him because Scar hates Zazu. And that was so much better portrayed in this one than the original. The original was like, he's like the core, I can't kill him, he's in a cage, whatever. And this one's like, no, we're gonna devour that freaking bird.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, really good sequence.
Very good.
Really good. So that was one added thing that was magical and perfect. Nala's okay. Nala's a good character. They made her a good, strong female character. Yeah. And I like that. And the final show off in the showdown, with her and the lion, or the hyena chick. Yeah. That wasn't when she's just watching her, and she's like, "This is the meal I've waited my life for," or something like that. And she's like, "Oh, come again, whatever." And then they fight, and then she's the end of her. That was intense because they built up her as a good villain, really good.
Yes, because the Whoopi Goldberg character, though extremely funny,
it's a great performance.
Was not scary
it's a different
at all.
Character, yeah. The hyenas weren't supposed to be a real threat unless you're a cub. In the original. Yeah. And this one, that's shot true. When Scar, when he's out eating the zebra, and he's like, Sarabi, or the chick, whatever her name was, like I have it right now, comes over, she's like, Sarabi, Scar wants you, or whatever, is summoning you, like get over there, basically.
To the edge of the rock.
Yeah, go to the rock. Eating a zebra, the only food they have, he's taking his, he's the king, whatever. And then he like invites her to be his queen, join him for a feast, whatever. She's like, "You're overkilling," and I like that you're overkilling. You're killing everything. You're just messing up the balance and everything. He's like, "I'm just demonstrating the perfection of the hunt or whatever." But she turns him down, and he says, "Fine, then all the lionesses will eat after the hyenas, then they don't leave much." And then this shot, Scar turns around, walks down the rock. She's halfway up the rock, and all the hyenas are now on the thing, and she's just kind of trembling. Watching them in a gorgeous sequence in nighttime, where there's seeing her in the middle and that torment of her decision, watching the hyenas eating their food with Scar just walking off.
It was very powerful, the intensity that she told him no.
Yes, really good.
Yeah.
Strong female characters in this movie for sure. So anyway, a lot of intensity, a lot of good strong characters. Some not quite as strong characters, but before we go into Timon and Pumbaa, I just want to talk about a little bit about Mufasa. First of all, how did you feel about Mufasa?
I thought he was very strong. You could definitely tell that he loved his son. That conversation, this was probably
which one?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
This was probably my favorite scene. Okay. Being a father of 3.
Okay.
So Mufasa is talking to his son about, I told you not to go to the...
After the elephant graveyard.
Yeah. And it was the perfect balance of, like, hard reality, like, be aware of what you just did. And a perfect balance with the love. Mm-hmm. Like, he didn't just yell at him and say, I told you, blah, blah, blah. It was both sides.
The whole reprove, but then show an increase of love thing. Yeah. I agree with you, and it was fantastic, well executed in the original. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm talking about the present movie.
I didn't buy it very
Really?
It wasn't as strong.
Was it the
for me.
acting?
part of it. See, here's the thing with Mufasa in this one. Everyone else had a new character or had a new voice.
Yeah.
And I don't like that he's the only one that didn't get recast. Not because there's anything wrong with James Earl Jones. It's just, okay, if we're going to recast, then let's recast.
Yeah.
But everyone else tried. I didn't feel like they executed, but I don't think they brought anything new to any of these characters. Maybe Timon and Pumbaa. They were fantastic. They stole the show. But, you know, Donald Glover, everyone else...
hyena
She did.
something
She did.
new,
Okay,
for sure.
yeah, I'll give you that one. Yes, for sure. Part of that's the script and direction.
Yes. Because we love Whoopi.
Yeah.
Goldberg.
But it's not about voice talent. It's about a different character, which is fine. But Mufasa, when I'm hearing him, he tried to do different versions. He didn't say the lines the same way as he did in the original, which is fine.
His voice sounded higher and almost younger.
Yeah, and I think they tweaked that because when you hear his voice in Rogue One, where he plays Darth Vader again, he sounds a little tired and older. And I didn't have a problem with it being a higher pitch or anything, but the problem was he tried to say the same dialogue a little different.
Yeah.
So to my ears, I was just hearing different outtakes of the lines. I was like if these are deleted scenes or alternate versions of different takes they took, and they went with the one in the original, and my brain's like, oh, I see why they went with the one in the original.
It's like a bad live version of your favorite recorded song.
Exactly. But so that's the thing. So Mufasa was just off the whole time.
Yeah.
And the dialogue in that scene, same thing. The only part I love Mufasa.
I thought that scene was awesome.
Visually, it was. I don't know.
But we can disagree.
We can. It was misfiring with me the whole time with Mufasa. Because of that.
Also, this is your Disney show, and it's not.
And it's not living up to the cartoon.
And
where I was
it's not even in my top 5. I love The Lion King, but I am not as passionate about it as you are.
The shot where he steps in the paw print, which is in the original, just so good. It's so well done. I love little moments like that. But let's right before the Elephant Graveyard. I think this was the best, maybe one of the top 2. The end battle, the whole end scene was probably my favorite part of the movie, but the Nala scene. So this is 3. Third best scene was the Elephant Graveyard. When they first get there, who cares? They roll in and they start wandering around. Nala's apprehensive because she's smart, has a little danger sense about her.
Yeah.
That carries on later on.
Yeah.
But Simba's just trying to prove himself.
Yeah.
And he goes and gets in trouble. But when they first, in the original, he's like, I laugh in the face of danger, ha ha ha, and then you hear the hyenas. In this one, he does that, and nothing really happens, and then you cut to her. She's like, no, we need to go, or whatever. And then all of a sudden, in the background, you see the hyenas stepping out from behind. You don't hear their voice and coming out goofy like in the cartoon. They come out because they're stalking and hiding, and there's not just the 3, it's like a bunch of them. And that was so scary.
Yeah.
It's
and they enter just like Scar.
Yeah. Yes.
Because they are his followers, like Satan and the third of the host of heaven.
Exactly. They step in, and then there's that laughing, you know what I'm talking about, in the background. It wasn't exactly a howl, just that noise in the back, whenever they were around. Like there's just this echoey, like there's a bunch of them. They're a herd of these freaking hyenas.
We do have to get out of here.
Yeah. And it was eerie. It was so good.
Yeah.
And then they chase her, digging and everything, like real dogs and stuff. Their faces were mean, little sharp little teeth, and it wasn't a comedy routine. The 2. There was the 2 that were joking about giving my space and stuff. And that kind of broke the tension, but I think it needed it because you're about to see 2 little cubs get massacred.
That's true.
So that was okay. Mufasa, and I love they show Mufasa. He's just it just kind of cuts in the background. He's taking him out in the back.
Yeah.
And then you see him behind. You're like, oh, there's Mufasa, and he's like charges in, and he defends him, and then they walk out. Really great scene. The sound design, the angles, the cinematography, the way they introduced them, it was so effective and menacing. Oh, it gave me chills. I loved it. And then they go out and they have the scene that you loved.
Yes.
And then the rest of the movie's just goofy because then you have Timon and Pumbaa. But then they go to the gorge. Next scene. The gorge was really cool. The stampede, the same shot like in the original.
It was like southern Utah, with like the caverns and everything. Yeah.
But yeah, when it goes, it follows the camera, follows a herd going into the gorge.
Yes.
So cool.
Which in the Broadway show is super cool, where it's like that.
Yeah, and I remember they coming down in the center. I do remember them doing that. It was really neat because I was wondering how they were going to do that.
Yeah.
But really effective. You felt the trauma. Now here's the spiritual side of that. You have Simba misled, got himself into a predicament, in danger, Innocently, he was just following, being misled, misguided, whatever. He gets down there, he's in a life and death situation, he's about to be killed, completely powerless to save himself. Ooh. Then you have Mufasa, the king, safe on ground, strong, and he's where he should be. But he's there trying to help. Okay, he descends. He jumps down. He descends. Okay, to save his son, who is gonna die. And not only does he descend, but he starts running with. What are they? Can't remember, with whatever they were.
The horned things.
But he's running with them, and he's able to do so just like Christ descended, lived among men, lived a perfect life, and he was able to keep up with everything else until his mission was over. Same thing, the king descends, runs along with men, which Simba couldn't do. Simba's would be run over, and he got stuck, and he got up to the limb, and he didn't just get up there and carry him and save him. He said, Simba, you need to jump to me. And that's the way the atonement is. Christ does everything except for makes us make that step, and if we make that step, we can be saved. And then
I like that.
Simba ascends halfway, and then Mufasa gets up, but he has to pay the price by the person that deceived the son in the first place and is killed to save his son. Such a good metaphor, right? Such a good scene. And then it cuts to the death scene where Mufasa's all beautiful. But it's good, and I didn't cry, but it was emotional. You know when I did almost cry? Actually, I did cry. I think I did tear up when it shows Baby Pumbaa. Can we talk about Baby Pumbaa? When it comes in this song and they're singing Hakuna Matata, which was great, and then it's like telling the story, and it shows little Baby Pumbaa come out to the pond with all the animals, and then he farts, and then the little bird flies away.
Wait, you cried at this part?
I think. Well, it was sad because he farts, bubbles, and the bird flies away. Or I think the bird died, or the butterfly, whatever. And all the animals like they all scared. He just looks around. He's so sad, and then he passes again, and then a frog jumps away.
Well,
but he's so pathetic and sad. It's so cute.
Well, when we are kids, we think that our problems are the only problem, and that everyone else is just fine.
He cried, and he's like sad, and then he's like, "You're gonna stop me?" He's like, "Well, no, it's a traumatic story." Whatever. Great performance with Timon and Pumbaa. That song was good.
Both
the
of
evolution
them were really good.
when they walk across, they do that where they walk across the log, and the seasons change, and they grow up and stuff. I really loved that, and I couldn't say enough about how awesome they were. That's pretty simple.
What is that called in a movie where it's the time progression during a montage?
The time passing. I don't know, just a montage. I don't know if there's a name. If there is, not off the top of my head.
I'm disappointed
I'm sorry.
There's probably a name for it.
There probably is, but I would just say the time passing montage, or the Hakuna Matata song. I love when he first made a Hakuna Matata, and then he's just like, what? There's like, usually we get a bigger reaction than that. That was awesome. Anyway.
So Nathan Lane was the voice in the cartoon.
Right.
And he's a big Broadway guy. Yeah. Love him. I thought that this guy was hysterical.
Yeah.
Hysterical.
Yeah. They're really good. And I love, like I said, the every time we zoomed in, like, it was so expressive in the running.
Oh, wait. This was my favorite part of the whole movie.
There we go.
When he starts singing the song from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, yeah.
About... I seriously lost it.
Our guest?
I seriously lost it.
Well, that's even right before that.
That was brilliant.
They're sitting there like, how are we going to infiltrate? And then we need a distraction. Like, yeah. And then he's like, we need live bait. And they all turn and look at Pumbaa. And he's like, that's a great idea. Yeah. It's like, we need to find a gazelle.
Well, because you can't animate them in the Hawaiian clothing.
Oh, yeah. That would not have worked.
Yeah.
That's why it was perfect. Yeah. Because that's what they do.
It was hysterical.
Yeah. But that was so funny, and they didn't even get to be as soon as they'd be, then they go, they chase. Awesome sequence. Rafiki coming in doing that was weird though. He pulls out his staff. He's like, "Hello, old friend." And I was like, but why we didn't establish him with the staff earlier? Yeah. It's like that was weird.
Well, in the original, he always had
had the staff. That's his sign of power.
In the original, did he do that whole paw print thing?
Yes.
Oh, he did.
It was beautiful. Now I want to say, can we talk about the adventure and the journey of the fur.
Oh yeah,
From Mufasa,
and then it's in the scat ball.
Yeah, sits down and blows
That was
away.
interesting. That was interesting.
Goes into the river. Bird picks it up, puts it in the nest. The other bird's like, no. Throws it off the nest, and then it falls down, and then it lands on a leaf. A giraffe eats the leaf.
Yeah.
Then it cuts, and then you have a dung. What do they call it? A dung beetle pushing this roll with the thing in there, and then it falls out here and breaks open, and then blows in the wind. I'm like, this is quite the episode just for this. This, and then he gets all the way to the ants. Ants pick it up, go up the tree, and Rafiki's like, Simba. It's like, it's hilarious. But yes, that was
interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, really great sequence. I was like, where are we going with it? I knew what was happening. I was like, this is. They just did it really quick the other way. Okay, let's talk about the songs real quick. Okay, opening number, we were talking about that. Fantastic. They all bowed. Half of them bowed. It was kind of cool, but whatever. There's a lot of symbolism in there where you have.
It was a great voice. I have no idea who it was. It was a great voice.
That one. And then I love how Mufasa's there. Mom's with the baby, and then Rafiki goes up, pats the authority. Yeah. And then Simba or Mufasa kind of nods in approval to the prophet, right? The prophet goes, picks up the child, takes it over, and presents the new cub. Yeah. In our sacrament meetings, you have a baby blessing, where you have a naming and blessing of a baby. That's performed in a sacrament meeting, presided by a bishop. But the father's the one that actually does the blessing, and then holds up the baby. Usually, that's not part of the official program or anything, but that's just what they do. They just kind of show it to the congregation.
Yeah, it just always happens. It's not part of the priesthood.
But it is presided by a priesthood leader. Yeah, that has to be done. That means if you're going to do that, if that ordinance outside of the sacrament meeting, you have to have permission.
Exactly.
You know, so there was a lot of parallels there that made perfect sense, and it was really cool. Then we go to the scenes, Scar, all that stuff, and then you cut to I just can't wait to be king. Yeah. This song was awesome. I loved that they were showing Simba running around with the babies. Yeah. The babies you just saw who were worshiping. Oh, here's the new lion cub. Yeah. He was running around with the new spring life, the new babies. Yeah. These same babies, and this shows the drama of once he comes, it shows what the Pride Land's like now, they're all dead. Either they're dead or they've run off, but like he's running around, I can't wait to be king, these are gonna be my people. Oh. And they're so happy watching their king just run around in the water and everything. It's all lush and beautiful. They're about to be destroyed. It has that same overshot of the land. Yeah. Only completely different environments where they set up where you had all the spirit in this life, contrast all this death and dryness.
I totally did not pick up on that. Right. But that's cool.
I saw that the second time. The second time I noticed that. But that song was good, really fun, and I love the performance. Then Stampede, Death, and then we get to, well, before that, Be Prepared.
I liked it vocally, I liked it in this new version more than either of the other versions. No. Tell me why.
Okay,
and then I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Here's what... Be Prepared is the I'm going to say greatest. I'd have to think for a second. If Maleficent had a song, hers would probably be the best. But Be Prepared is the greatest Disney villain song ever. And it has this whole, Nazi regime marching sequence and everything, which is, it's effective. But it's just really cool because you have Scar starting in a conversation, and they're like, "What are we supposed to do? Kill Mufasa?" He says, "Precisely." And then you hear the music, dum, 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 and then he starts marching right into the camera, and just all these geysers are exploding around him. He's building this mood, and he says to be prepared for it. And he starts singing his song. And then he sings it, and it gets louder and louder, and they start chiming and singing with him, and then he's telling his plot. He's saying it'll be the death of a king, and is he sick? No, we're gonna kill him, all that stuff, right? And it ends with him up on the top and little, levels of the hyenas praising their lord, right? This one did that, but the song didn't start with him a big moment, a musical cue, and then he starts singing. It's like he's speaking the dialogue, and then it kind of subtly he starts kind of changing his voice where he's slightly singing, then he starts singing the lines, but then they cut out all the plot stuff, so he's just talking about being prepared, And then he ends up on the rock, and I was like, okay, that didn't have any heaviness to it. I didn't feel any of the menace or the menacing impact that Scar has, and I didn't have this fear of his army. I was just like, okay, these are his buddies that just got their butts kicked by Mufasa. You know, I didn't feel like they were like energized anymore. Like now they're rallied up.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that at all, and it was a very subtle lead into the song, and it just kind of like, it was flat. I Can't Wait to Be King was like spirited and just got bigger and bigger and bigger. This one was supposed to do that for you to be like, oh my gosh, these guys are serious. They're going to take down the king. I was like,
I disagree.
Okay.
But not strongly on this one.
Okay.
So
maybe it's been too long since you saw the one of 2 times you saw the original.
Yes. Okay. Maybe. But in the original, it felt kind of like a hokey song. Like, just with the animation and...
There's a little cheese, and especially where he's like prancing and stuff.
Yes.
There's a couple moments.
So what I liked about this one was that it felt more like a song for the bad guy character.
I see it.
And vocally, I liked his voice more than whoever
his
did
voice
it in the
was
original.
Fine. Like I said, it was just the way they did, where he just kind of subtly, slowly started singing.
Yeah.
Instead of just like beginning a song, which you can do that, but it was like, hey, and then he just started, he was speaking the lines and the lyrics, and they kind of started singing the lyrics, and then they cut out some of the lyrics, and I was like, what is he? I thought it was getting bigger and bigger, and then it was over. I'm like, oh, that's it. You know. Anyway, be prepared.
Okay, what's next?
Then Can You Feel the Love Tonight, which we already talked about. Is just flatline because it was Can You Feel the Love this day.
It's funny.
Anyway, so the songs were really, the first 2 are great. I can't think of it. There's another song.
So there was a new song by Beyonce. Okay. Her actual character doesn't, move her mouth and sing the song. But it's happening during the movie, yeah.
Okay, and I completely missed this song.
And what I have to say about it is that the performance was great, but the song was like totally not memorable at all.
Okay.
I have no idea what it was even talking about.
And not because it was in African language.
I love Beyonce, like Single Ladies and her performance in Dreamgirls, but this song was lackluster because it lacked luster.
Ooh.
That's a line from something.
I don't know.
It is.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Anyway, those are the thoughts of the songs. We already talked about all the characters. I think the meaningful sequences that you needed to be there for the spirit of the Lion King were there for the most part. The relationship between Nala wasn't there. The fun side attractions of Timon and Pumbaa were fantastic. Yeah. Really great. I guess Hakuna Matata, we already said. That was just amazing. Yeah. Comical, just new takes on a lot of the way they did it. Some people had a problem with the bug eating sequence, the grubs. I didn't have a problem with that. I'm going to fly in here. Anyway.
It almost looked like I had a little more hair.
Yeah, just for a moment. Anyway, but Hakuna Matata was great. I don't have any, lot to say. Just watch it and love it. Yeah. But so that's right in the middle, and then the last, I don't know. So I guess 2.5 out of 2.5 for the music for me. But anyway, we're not gonna do our normal ratings. I usually go through my 5 categories and give it a 1 out of 2. Yeah, we can if you want to, but that's like, yeah. But let's give it a final judgment. So final judgment: celestial, terrestrial, telestial. Celestial means gotta see it in the theater.
Okay.
Terrestrial means when it comes out on Blu-ray, you buy it and you can watch it on your TV. Telestial means it's worth a rental or wait till it's on Netflix or something. Okay. And we don't talk about Outer Darkness, which would be like pirating. We don't do that. So, what would you give this as a...
Okay, so...
Final judgment, Craig.
On the new movie?
Yeah.
So, I definitely think you need to see it in the theater because visually it's beautiful and it will definitely look better than at your house. So, for that... it would be celestial, but for overall, it would be terrestrial.
Okay. I'm going to say celestial as well. So, celestial movie, I agree for the same reason. I think it missed a few things, but it's still worth seeing in the theater. We've talked to several people who were like, I've heard mixed reviews on stuff. I know.
I'm not going to see it, period.
There's that. But I was like, that aside, it's still a great spectacle, great visual to see. Yeah. And that end sequence, I can't tell you how much I love the ending of the movie. that fight, the color, the lightning, like everything they did to set up from the dry land to they get into the Pride Rock to the lightning crashing underneath and causing the fire and then the flames and smoke everywhere, and the final showdown between Scar and Mufasa, you're seeing two live lions fighting each other with no blood.
Yeah.
So
we needed a little Tim Burton.
I needed a little grit to it. Anyway, I get it. It's freaking Disney, whatever. But it's really good. Really good moments with all the characters who are in different aspects of the battle. And that last shot where Scar meets his end and the hyenas all move in.
Yeah.
Just as effective as in the cartoon, which is really good for that shot too. But really good. Then you have the roar. That's the other thing, the roar. They didn't crank up the volume on the roar. Whenever it was like the line like supposed to be like I'm shooting out my power, my authority, I was like, turn it up. Anyway, that was just me. But the one at the end was really good. Sequence, lush, all the animals come back. But really good messages, good visuals. I agree. You gotta see it in the theater.
Yeah.
Should you buy it afterwards? Well, that's if you're a Disney collector. I think if you're gonna let your kids watch The Lion King, just get the original. Yeah. But if you want to have this one for your collection, because you got to have all of them. If you bought Dumbo, you got to buy this one. That's what I'll say, because you wasted your money on Dumbo.
So Tim Burton directed Dumbo, and there wasn't enough blood. Just kidding.
Right.
You don't really need blood in Dumbo.
Anyway,
but there was that creepy scene where they went to the island and everything was just creepy.
Visually, that was cool.
That's totally Tim.
Yeah. Oof. I did a review of that. You should watch that one. Anyway, Craig, thanks for joining. It's been so fun.
I hope you have me back so that we can talk about more of these Disney remakes or musicals. Anything that's a musical, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next time there's a big one that comes down. There's a lot that I need to watch. Not the musicals, but the movies that I haven't reviewed, and there's a lot to say. Because Josh, who's been unavailable for a while, he's not a big musical lover, and I'm not a big sports movie lover, so that's our differences. That's what I don't really have. But anyway, Lion King, great. Go see it in the theater if you haven't already seen it. If you already saw it and you really liked it, go see it again like I did. I saw it twice because my kids wanted to see it. But anyway, Craig, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having
Celestial
me.
Rating, and we'll catch you next time on Saints on Cinema. Just like the movie.